Hi everyone, this is part 6 of You Don't Know Everything, Jilly P. Chapter 21. Then, in the morning, as we're sitting down to breakfast, Dad turns the television onto the news. Shot last night in Fremont, California, at approximately 10 p.m. She was unarmed. My head jerks up at the mention of Fremont. So does Dad's. We see the picture of a girl, smiling in her gray tank top, the arm of an out-of-frame friend casually draped on her left shoulder like they'd be best buds forever. At the bottom of the screen, it says in bold type, Jessica Johnson, 17, fatally shot by police in Fremont. She looks familiar, says Dad. She does, I say, and then I freeze, the air falling out of me. That's Derek's friend, the one from New Parents' Night. You're right, Dad raises his hand to cover his half-open mouth. The television screen turns back to the local news anchors. According to witnesses, announces one, Jessica Johnson was running down a side street off of Mission Boulevard when two police called for her to stop. Unfortunately, Miss Johnson was deaf and did not hear the directive. Police called again for her to halt, and when she did not respond, they fired, shooting her 7 times in the back. She died within minutes. Just blocks from her home, says the other anchor, so close that her parents probably heard the shots. A particularly tragic detail for this terrible case of the death of a deaf teen, responds his co-anchor with a practiced sincerity. And then they've moved on to a story about a wildfire in Sonoma County, leaving Jessica Johnson hanging in the air around Dad and me. Where are you going? Dad asks when I get up. Online, I gotta see if Derek is there. He probably isn't, Dad says, but I'm already halfway to my computer. I log on, and Dad is right, but I send Derek a note saying how sad I am that Jessica was killed. Getting dressed for school, I decide to wear a black shirt and a black pair of pants with tiny white stripes. I never talked to Jessica directly, but I did meet her, and she was Derek's tutor. And even if I didn't know her, it's sad beyond sad that the cops shot her just for running down the street. No one mentions Jessica at school, not the kids, not the teachers. Nobody except Macy asks why I'm dressed in black. I wonder whether people will even know what happened. But I think about Jessica all day, how she should be at school and how her classes must feel empty without her. What is her family doing? What are her friends doing? What is Derek doing? After school, I go back online, and this time he's there. Hi, Jillian P. That is great. Profound in Oaktown and Pure Green Elven Girl are already here. Pull up a chair or a birch limb if you're a raven of the ancient clan and join in. Jillian P. Hey, Profound. Instantly, a chat window opens up. Profound in Oaktown has invited you to an unoccupied oasis in the desert of desolation. Enjoy your privacy. Profound in Oaktown. She was on the track team. Jillian P. What? Profound in Oaktown. Jessica. That's why she was running. She was practicing. Jillian P. Oh, that's awful. It's all awful. Profound in Oaktown. No one on TV is saying that. They just see another black kid running in the street at night. Profound in Oaktown. And they're all going on about how she should have been wearing her hearing aids. Profound in Oaktown. And no one's saying she shouldn't have been shot. Derek doesn't say anything after that, but he starts posting to his medallion profile page, which he almost never does. His words flash by as alerts at the bottom of the screen. Deaf, black, and alive at Profound in Oaktown. Heartbroken, hashtag missing Jessica. Deaf, black, and alive at Profound in Oaktown. Police killed Jessica Johnson in Fremont, home of CSD, hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag say her name. Deaf, black, and alive at Profound in Oaktown. Jessica Johnson was my math tutor. I wouldn't know fractions without her. Because of police, she is gone, hashtag missing Jessica. I press the green thumbs up button, but that feels weird because I don't want Eric to think I like what's happening. So then I press the red thumbs down button, but that's worse because I don't want him to think that I disagree with him. So I undo that too. Then I write a comment that says, this sucks, but I don't post it. Instead, I go back to the chat window, which is still open. He was the last one to type, so it's my turn anyway. Jillian P. I'm really sad about Jessica. Profound in Oaktown. Me too. Jillian P. You must be so angry. Profound in Oaktown. Furious. Profound in Oaktown. And sad. Profound in Oaktown. And terrified. Profound in Oaktown. It could have been me. Jillian P. Can I send you a virtual hug? Profound in Oaktown. Yeah. I send him my favorite gif of a chubby orange cartoon cat with its arms open wide. Profound in Oaktown. Thanks. That's cute. Profound in Oaktown. Thanks for listening. Profound in Oaktown. I'm going to go now. Jillian P. Bye. Profound in Oaktown has left the oasis. You are alone with your thoughts. Derek's right. It doesn't matter whether Jessica was wearing hearing aids. It doesn't matter whether she was out late at night. She should have been safe. Derek should be safe. Everyone should be safe, but they're not, especially people who are deaf or black or both. Chapter 22. Sunday evening, there's a vigil for Jessica Johnson at Lake Merritt. Mom, Aunt Alicia, Aunt Joanne, and I all go. Dad stays home with Emma, Jamila, and Justin. We park just before sunset. Lake Merritt is huge, at least for the middle of a city. From the south end where we are, you can't really see the far side. In fact, it splits into two, and you can't see what happens to either fork. When I was little, I used to think that the lake was as big as an ocean. We walk along the shoreline. A duck dives under the lake and comes up, shaking drops of water off its bill. For an instant, the world feels light. Then the moment passes and I remember why we're here. Jessica Johnson. A few hundred people have gathered into a mass of bodies, signs, bicycles, and candles, some of which are already lit. Many of them face a wooden stage that's been constructed on the sidewalk. The sun is still in the sky, but it looks ready to drop out onto the court building and roll out of sight. The air is sprinkled with the murmurs of dozens of conversations in low voices, but the usual shouts and laughter of being at the park are absent. A few groups are signing, mostly clustered to the right of the stage. The mass of people tapers off on either side into a single row stretching out along the lakefront. I wonder how many bodies it would take to line the whole lake. And I wonder if Derek is in that constellation of grief. Aunt Alicia, Aunt Joanne, Mom, and I join the people flanking the water. An old man with a curved spine and wrinkly hands walks down the line, passing out short white candles. Each one is stuck into a small paper cup to protect the holder from wax drippings. His baseball cap is bright orange and tints the white bits of hair that stick out the sides. We each take a candle. Not long after that, a woman's amplified voice welcomes us from the stage and thanks us for coming. She introduces herself as Kat. Off to the right, a tall woman interprets into American Sign Language. We will hear from a few select speakers, including Wilfred and Annalise Johnson, Jessica's parents. The crowd applauds their attendance. I start by clapping the way I always have, but switch to a deaf clap when I'm reminded by the groups of people by the stage shaking their hands in the air. Mom joins me. Kat continues. We will then hold a full 7 minutes of silence to acknowledge the 7 bullet wounds found in Jessica's body. After that point, the mic will be open for anyone who wishes to speak. Kat welcomes the grandmother of Ella Davila, who was killed by a cop in Santa Rosa 3 months ago when she was walking home from the corner store. I want to be polite and listen to her, but she talks so quietly and there's so much noise from the gathering crowd that it's hard to hear what she's saying, except when she calls out her granddaughter's name, and her voice raises up and over the lake. Ella, we miss you. A man speaks after that, and then a woman. Both of them also have family members who have been killed by police, a daughter and a nephew. The stories sound different, but also the same. His daughter was hanging out in a mall parking lot with their friends. Her nephew was driving to an early shift at work. None of the people who were killed knew they'd never have another chance to see their family and friends. Then it's Jessica Johnson's parents' turn. They look as though the joy has been drained out of their bodies, nothing like how they looked at new parents' night. Jessica's dad stands quietly as Jessica's mom speaks at the mic. I don't know how many of you all knew Jessica, but she was smart, and I mean smart, funny too. She looks up at the sky. Jessica was my baby, and they took her from me. My only child, shot her and killed her right in the streets of our neighborhood, and I'll never forgive them. But I want you to know that Jessica was a fighter, and we're going to fight too. She looks over at her husband and puts out her hand for him to grasp. For Jessica and for all our kids, Jessica, my sweet, my baby, you will never be forgotten. Mom squeezes my hand. Then Kat gets back on the microphone. She reminds people to stay quiet for the full 7 minutes of silence, not to sign, and to leave their phones in their pockets. She encourages people to think about Jessica and other victims of police violence. The sun has fallen behind us, its last glimmers of light drifting over downtown Oakland. The evening is quiet, except for the street traffic behind us and the occasional cry of someone whose grief has overwhelmed them. Every shift of a bag and shuffle of a shoe echoes into the darkening lake. 7 minutes is a long time to be still. Aunt Joanne puts her arm around Aunt Alicia, who is shaking silently. Around us, the lights of 100 small flames reflect onto the faces of the people that hold them. Eyes are focused downward on candles, the ground, the lake. Many faces are wet. A few people are looking off into space, but I'm the only one looking around. And then I feel kind of bad because I'm supposed to be thinking about Jessica Johnson and Ella Davila and the others. But looking around at the candles in our hands reminds me of the candles on a birthday cake. And that makes me realize that none of the people who have been killed are ever going to have another birthday wish because they were Black. And police, the very people who are supposed to protect us, killed them. It makes me wonder who us is because I can't imagine being hurt by police, but the Black people here can. I think about Aunt Alicia, Justin, and Jamila. I think about Derek. I think about Sword Wielder 42 and Sheila, who sits next to me in social studies, and my old bus driver, Chris. Any one of them could be killed by a cop. Any one of them could disappear in a moment. That's when I notice I'm crying. I let the tears fall. Thank you, Kat finally says. Heads lift, hands unclasp, necks roll and stretch, and murmurs grow as people turn back toward the stage. Kat introduces Reverend Dubois, a pastor from a church in West Oakland. He is a tall man wearing a full suit and a hat with a small feather tucked into the band. His candle lights half of his face with a soft orange glow. He talks about the importance of gathering to grieve and the value of coming together to support each other. He mentions peer counseling and other resources for people who need them and reminds us about upcoming events and rallies. And now, before we move on to open comments, says Kat, I'd like to welcome Deaf Beats, a dance troupe from the California School for the Deaf in Fremont, where Jessica Johnson was a senior. A group of 20 teenagers wearing black and orange quickly assembles into a block of 4 by 5 in front of the stage. Derek is one of them, in the third row on the right. They stomp their feet in unison, clap their hands in rhythm, and raise their fists with deaf pride. Then they turn and do it again, 4 times in all, one in each direction. Their percussive claps and stomps echo across the lake. After that, they get into one long line facing us. They look up and down the row, and then as one, they start to sign. Over and over again. Someone starts chanting in English, in time with the signers. Protect deaf Black lives. Others join her, then I do too. Protect deaf Black lives. Protect deaf Black lives. Protect deaf Black lives. Then the action is over, and we're all soaking in the wash of hurt and anger and struggle to find hope together. Kat welcomes the first open mic speaker and invites anyone else who has something to say to see her. I don't see Derek again until he's in front of me, asking if I want to go for a walk. I let Mom know which way we're going, and we meander away from the group. I didn't know you were going to perform, I say. I don't know the signs, but I speak slowly and point back at the stage. That was really powerful. I give a thumbs up, which isn't as strong as I feel about it, but he smiles. We didn't have a lot of time to rehearse, he speaks as he signs, but we wanted to do something for Jessica. That was the first time I've seen you dance. You were really good. Thanks, I can do way better. He runs several steps in front of me and then breaks into a quick dance number, throwing his hips and his hands around. It puts the baby sister slide to shame. He looks so happy. I laugh, and then I cry. What, he asks, is my dancing that bad? No, I'm scared something terrible might happen to you too, like it did to Jessica, I say. Derek cocks his head, then shakes it and pulls out his cell phone. He types something and hands me the phone open to a text screen with the words, type what you said. I do, then hand back the phone. He reads my note and nods his head in understanding. He types back, I'm scared too, every day, terrified some days, but all I can do is keep watching out and keep living and dancing. I nod and he nods. He does another dance move. This one is softer, slower, a bit sadder. Then he puts his phone back into his pocket and extends his hand. I slip mine between his thumb and his palm. We stand together looking at the lake until Derek turns to me and says, signing with his free hand, I'm gonna go. I just wanted to say hi. Oh, okay then, I nod. Hug? Derek asks, his eyebrows high. We hug and he smells like mint. For a moment we feel connected and I don't want to let go, but then he drops his arms and I drop mine. He smiles, says goodbye, and walks off into the crowd. For a moment I lose him, but then I spot him again. His parents and his 2 little sisters are here. His mom takes him in her arms and he puts his head on her shoulder while his dad rubs his back. His sisters join the family embrace. I'm glad we're here to support Jessica's family and Derek and everyone who knows someone who was killed by police. It feels important that we're remembering them by being here, even if we only met them once or even not at all. We're remembering that they were alive and that there are people who care about them very much, who are missing them so much it aches, another stab with each breath. I walk back and cozy up close to Mom, Aunt Alicia, and Aunt Joanne. And we have a family hug of our own, resting on one another in the candlelight. Chapter 23. It's a quiet ride home. I watch Maya the canary's cage swinging back and forth below Aunt Alicia's rearview mirror, and the way she hangs back at an angle as we go up the big hill to our place. Mom invites them to come inside and stay for a bit, but Aunt Joanne has work early in the morning. Mom and I say goodnight to Aunt Alicia while Aunt Joanne goes in the house to get Jamila and Justin. Thanks for the ride, Mom says. Anytime, says Aunt Alicia. Stay safe. I'll do what I can. Jamila and Justin come out of the house yelling and running for the car. It's good that they didn't come to the vigil. I think about them trying to be quiet for 7 minutes in a row. I'm not sure Justin has been quiet for 7 minutes in his life. Mom and I hug Aunt Joanne and head inside. How was it, Dad asks. Emma resting in his arms. On the paused television screen, a man is standing in a suit, yelling at another man in a suit who's sitting at a desk. The standing man is practically pointing his finger in the sitting man's face. Both men are white, and I notice that. It was good, I say automatically. Then I shake my head. No, wait, it wasn't good at all. It was terrible. It was really, really sad. I mean, Jessica Johnson got shot by a cop, and she's not the only one. Black kids keep getting shot, and it's awful. Police are supposed to keep us safe. You're right, they are, says Dad. We shouldn't have even had to be there, I say. Jessica Johnson should be alive, running wherever she wants, and it's not just her. I want to say more. I don't even know what exactly, but I'm filled with anger, which is also hurt. I worry about Justin and Jamila all the time, says Mom. Every time I hear one of those stories in the news, I think about them. I can't imagine the strength Aunt Alicia must have to get through the day. Then I ask the question that's been forming in my mind for months. Why don't we talk about this stuff more? I probably talk more about racism with Aunt Alicia than I do with you, and you're my parents. Mom doesn't say anything. Dad's face gets a puzzled look. Then he opens his mouth but doesn't say anything either. I guess we just didn't want to worry you, says Mom. I'm worried anyway, I say. So what do we do? We keep talking, says Mom. Dad nods, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable, says Mom. Okay, I say, but what do we do? We could make a donation to an organization, says Dad. Money's important, I guess, but I want to do something. Like what, Mom asks. Like the vigil, but not just for one day. I want to make sure that people know that racism is still a big problem. I mean, Black people already know it, but what about here in Piedmont? Most of our neighbors are white like us. I want more people to talk about it. We sit together quietly for a moment until Mom's head pops up with an idea. What if we put a sign on the lawn? I like it, Dad says, drawing out the words. Like a Black Lives Matter sign, I ask. I've seen them around Oakland, but I've never seen one on our street. Exactly like that, Mom says. I mean, it's a small gesture, but it says that we see what's happening. Maybe it'll encourage people to do a little thinking and talking of their own, says Dad. Yes, 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 I say. A sign doesn't save anyone's life, but it lets people know we're thinking about it and that they can too. Dad prints out a sign on a piece of paper and we tape it to a pair of metal skewers from the kitchen. Mom says that she'll get something more permanent soon, but as of now, the Perillo family of Oakland Avenue in Piedmont officially declares that Black Lives Matter. Aunt Alicia and Aunt Joanne were right. Things haven't been the same since Emma was born. All of our paths have changed in ways we never would have expected. I've made some mistakes on the way, but also I learned a lot. And I don't just mean American Sign Language, even though I reached 100 words today. I've learned that what you say matters and that you can hurt people even when you don't mean to. I've learned that sometimes you have to help someone start a rough conversation, even if that person is an adult, even if those people are your parents. I've learned that racism is still around today. It's in the police and it's in my family. I've learned that people who are angry are often hurt and that sometimes the most important thing you can do for someone in pain is to listen. And I've learned that there's no such thing as being done learning, but maybe I learned enough that I'll manage to not make the same mistakes again. I wonder what mistakes I'll make next. 9 months later, Mom, Dad, Emma, and I are the first to arrive at Fenton's Creamery for Emma's birthday. I convinced Mom and Dad that Fenton's was the perfect place to celebrate now that Emma's old enough for her first taste of ice cream. I've been signing ice cream to her all week. She doesn't get what the excitement is about, but she will soon enough. Macy shows up a few minutes later. Her mom dropped her off early to help decorate and will be coming to the party itself. H-E-B, J-D. And a happy Emma's birthday to you too, Dad says, translating for Mom and me. Mom hands me and Macy a bag of crepe paper streamers and strings of letters that spell out happy birthday. A lanky white boy with short blonde curls shows us to the private party room. Macy and I decorate while Mom and Dad meet the staff. Emma hangs out on a blanket with some blocks, but every once in a while she tries to crawl away. Macy and I take turns bringing her back to the blanket and distracting her with the blocks so she doesn't get right back up again. Aunt Alicia and Aunt Joanne are the first guests to show up with hugs, kisses, and a big box for Emma. Jamila and Justin see the open room as an opportunity to run in circles around and between the empty tables. And they do, almost knocking Macy and me over as we try to hang balloons from the ceiling. Emma starts crawling after them and gets completely under a table before Mom spots her and brings her back to her blanket. Looks like the sack of potatoes method isn't going to work anymore, says Aunt Alicia. It's so much harder once they don't stay where you put them. Justin, Jamila, stop running inside. Aunt Lou, Uncle Saul, Annie, Matt, and Jaden arrive next, followed by Graham. Now that Matt and Trip J are together, they're pretty much unstoppable. Macy and I find a corner to watch from safely as they chase each under around chairs and between adults until Lou pulls out a beanbag toss, tic-tac-toe game that keeps them occupied. The rest of the guests arrive along with more presents, greetings, and hugs. Macy's mom shows up. So do two of Emma's deaf baby friends from her playgroup, one accompanied by her deaf parents and the other by his hearing mom. The parents put the babies in a circle on the floor where they look at each other and chew on plastic toys their parents give them. The last to arrive is Adriana, Uncle Mike's daughter. I'm so glad you made it, says Graham. I wouldn't miss it. Now that she has her driver's license, she's been coming to our house to babysit Emma. I talked to your dad the other day. I'm sorry, says Adriana with a grin. That man does not know how to grow. He's no better than his father was. I'm glad you're not like him. Me too, says Adriana. Overall, the party is pretty standard party stuff. The adults sit around and chat until the food is ready, and then the kids join the table and the adults talk more about how much Emma and Jaden have grown recently, and about how nicely Macy and I are maturing. The promise of ice cream keeps Matt and Trip J relatively quiet and mostly in their chairs through the meal. After eating, Adriana and Annie set up a game of pin the tail on the donkey for the kids who can walk, which works out to be Em and Trip J. Macy and I would decide it would be more fun to watch them play. Justin is so excited for his turn, he's literally jumping in place as he waits. Once each of the kids has been spun around and sent in search of Donkey Rump 3 times, Aunt Alicia tells them to stop. If you get so dizzy you can't eat ice cream, you're not going to like it. So Em and Trip J go back to running around in between chairs and relatives until they get yelled at to stop. Mom announces that ice cream is minutes away and will only be offered to people who know how to behave indoors. That quiets them down and they go back to playing beanbag tic-tac-toe. So here's a question Aunt Joanne asked the table. I know happy, but how do you sign birthday? There are a couple of different signs, says the hearing mom from Emma's playgroup. I like this one. She holds her 5 fingers stretched out with the middle one bent. She touches the tip of that middle finger to her chin and then to her chest. She consults with the deaf people who nod and sign birthday as well. Soon the table is filled with middle fingertips tapping chins and chest. Birthday, 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 birthday. What about happy? Asked Macy's mom. Joanne may know it, but I don't. I can handle that one. Dad holds out his hand with his fingers close together as if he's going to pat his belly, and he almost does, but with his hand brushing upward, like he's scooping happiness out of his heart and splashing it on his face. Happy, 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 happy. The hearing mom of Emma's baby friend asks how we sign Emma, and mom shows how we shake the letter E in the air. She'll get a name sign from the deaf community someday, I explained, but that's what we use for now. And everyone around the table, even Emma, is signing Emma. Emma, 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 Emma. Graham has a funny look on her face. I'm nervous that she's going to complain that this is all so hard to learn. But then she asks, maybe you all know this one already, but how do you sign to you? Half a dozen fingers point at Graham at once. Oh, Graham laughs, that's not so tough. And with that, we're ready for ice cream. When the ice cream does arrive, it comes in large glass serving dishes placed along the center of the table, along with nuts, chocolate bits, and a dozen other goodies in small bowls, as well as hot fudge, whipped cream, and even a bunch of bananas. We're each going to make our own sundaes, and it's going to be epic. But first, we sing and sign. Dad cues, and we all join in singing and signing. Happy birthday to you. Everyone points at Emma, who mostly looks surprised. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Emma. Only the deaf couple signs dear, but we all wave our E's in the air. Happy birthday to you. And many more, Dad croons. Mom takes a small spoonful of vanilla ice cream and drops it onto Emma's tongue. Her eyes go wide and she bangs her palms on the table. She pops her mouth open for more. Then we all make ourselves sundaes so big we can barely finish them, but so delicious that we have no choice. 3 months after that, Aunt Alicia pulls up at a 2-story building on a side street off MacArthur Boulevard, so deep east into Oakland, we're almost in San Leandro. The building is lined with balconies, some filled with plants and chairs, and one packed solid with kids' toys and furniture. A bald man is taking a leisurely Saturday morning walk with his dog, while a family across the street with 3 adults and at least 3 children pile into a minivan. I text Derek, and a minute later, he's stepping out of his front door and into the back seat of our car. He has to duck his head on the way in. He's wearing a black Vidalia t-shirt, jeans, and a black baseball cap with a pin on the side that says, I remember Jessica. Hi, Jay, he speaks as he signs, as usual, and waves to Aunt Alicia. Thanks for taking us to the bookstore. You're welcome, Aunt Alicia signs back. Nice to meet you. She and Aunt Joanne have been taking sign classes, and they're getting pretty good. Derek gives a surprised smile. Nice to meet you, too. Ready, she asks. I don't remember the sign for ready. Ready. Derek flicks the wrists of his R-shaped hands. Oh, right, ready. Seatbelts buckled? She doesn't sign the question, but she tugs at her own shoulder strap. We both nod. Aunt Alicia turns to face forward, taps Maya the canary, and gets on the highway toward downtown. I point at the pin Derek's wearing. Jessica was killed about a year ago, wasn't she? I sign as I speak. A year and 8 days. What happened to her was awful. You must miss her. He nods. No one should be unsafe from the cops like that. He nods again. Then he takes my hand in his. I give a squeeze to say I see him, and we ride quietly downtown. Aunt Alicia hums along to an old song on the radio. At first, I think she doesn't know what we're talking about, but then she catches my eye in her rearview mirror and gives me a quick nod of approval. The trip to Laurel Bookstore doesn't take long. It's a bright day, and the downtown Oakland buildings shimmer yellow and orange as we zoom around an elevated curve and off the highway. Beast-like cranes pepper the porch by the water, and San Francisco looks small in the distance. We park and cross the red-bricked plaza toward the bookstore. The door still reads closed, so we stare at the sign in the window announcing that Roses and Thorns will go on sale today, looking at the cover for clues. We've been talking about the cover for months since it was released, trying to figure it out. There's nothing new to see, but now that we're moments from finding out what really happens, we're searching for every last hint. Cecil the basilisk is peering his scaly orange head from behind a foggy mountain, while Gonella huddles in a cave below. And either Orther or Maglin, it's hard to tell which, is rowing a boat across a moonlit lake. I'm pretty sure it's Maglin since it looks like he's rowing toward Gonella, but Derek thinks it's Orther about to attack Cecil. We agree that if he tried, he would lose and probably get swallowed whole in the process. The rower's hue is yellow-green, so it could really be either of them. Gonella has her usual yellow aura, but it's Cecil's orange glow that feels like it's shining right off the page. What about Blinky? Aunt Alicia asks, slowly finger-spelling the trickster chameleon's name. I don't see her on the cover at all. Who cares about Blinky? Asks Derek. Everybody has a role to play, Aunt Alicia says. Derek shakes his head and looks at me to interpret, but I shrug my shoulders and shake my head. I don't know how to sign something that complicated yet. Take out your phone and type it, I say to Aunt Alicia. She does and shows it to Derek, who types back, true, and how do you know about Blinky? I've read the books, Aunt Alicia signs proudly. Then she says carefully, pointing at the book in the window, and I'm going to read this one as soon as Jilly's done with it. That will be soon, says Derek. He's right. We found out how many pages there are in the book, and we made up a reading schedule. We even included times to check in online and talk about what we think. We should be done before school on Monday. I didn't know you were that excited, I say. I thought you said the world is filled with great stories just waiting to be read. Yeah, well, maybe this is one of them, Aunt Alicia shrugs, and the morning light catches one of a dozen thin purple dreads that pepper her hair. Derek looks at me with a raised eyebrow. He hands me his cell phone, and I type out what Aunt Alicia and I just said. I can't wait until Emma's old enough to say more than a word or two at a time. Derek promises me that my signing will get a lot better once Emma starts having real conversations. Soon, a woman with a button-down shirt, determination in her step, and a genuine smile comes outside. She props up a chalkboard sandwich sign that says Roses and Thorns by B.A. Delacourt on sale today, in bright colors. Come on in. She holds the door open for us, and we don't even need to ask where the book is. There's a big cardboard display as soon as we enter with a dozen copies beaming at us. I take one from the middle row. Derek takes one from the row above, and we go directly to the counter. Are you sure this is the book you want? Says the woman behind the counter with a mischievous smile. You didn't even look at our philosophy section. Nope, this is the one. I pay for my copy with Mom's debit card that she let me borrow for the day, and Derek pays for his with cash. Aunt Alicia is checking out the cooking section. We go outside to wait. What did she say? Derek asked me when we step out of the bookstore. I pull out my phone. She teased us because we were fast. It wasn't funny. What did she say? Derek asks again, throwing his weight into the word say. I type her comment and show it to him. That's not funny, he says. I know. He smiles, and that makes me laugh. We sit on the low stone plaza wall across the way from the bookstore and pull out our identical copies to get reading. We even turn the pages at almost the same time and get to page 15 before Aunt Alicia comes out. Aren't you two a sight, she says, holding a thick paperback that she pops into her bag. I tap Derek on the elbow and he looks up. Brunch, she asks. Yes, I nod eagerly. Derek shakes his head, but with a crinkly face that says that he doesn't understand her, not that he isn't interested in food. B-R-U-N-C-H, I fingerspell. Waffles. I promise not to help you order. Oh, I love brunch, she says. We walk over to Brody's Can't Fail Cafe with Aunt Alicia, hugging our copies of Roses and Thorns. As soon as we figure out what we want to eat, we get back to reading. We didn't include time at the diner in our schedule. I hope you'll at least stop when the food comes, says Aunt Alicia, signing enough that Derek nods. Of course, says Derek. We don't want to get anything on the books. He rubs his hand along the cover, feeling over the bumps of the mountains, down Cecil's scales, along the water, and back up again. Then we open our copies and return to Vidalia, leaving Aunt Alicia to pull out her own book. The waiter appears at the table with 2-inch spiky green hair, large holes in his ears, and a cheery, can I start you folks with anything? Aunt Alicia orders first, eggs Benedict and a coffee. I order my favorite, French toast and a large orange juice. Derek gets a waffle, of course. He points at his ear, shakes his head, and then his menu for a waffle with a side of bacon. The waiter nods, his hair bouncing back and forth. The waiter points at the drink options, but Derek taps his water glass. When the waiter leaves, Derek turns at me and says, no pickles. I blush, and for a minute I worry, but then he punches me lightly in the arm and laughs. Vidalia, he asks. What, I say. There's a sign for B-I-D. My finger spelling is slow, and Derek answers before I can finish. It's the sign for onion. He grins and signs it again. I copy him, and so does Aunt Alicia. Then Aunt Alicia laughs. Onion, she says. I get it. I don't, I say. Vidalia is a kind of onion, she explains to me. Wow, ASL sure is creative. Aunt Alicia doesn't know the sign creative. Derek turns to me. This one I can do. ASL is creative, I sign. Yes, Derek beams. Then he opens his book and is lost in Vidalia. I'm right behind him. Winella is just realizing that Cecil has Magdalene locked up when the food comes. The smell of fresh French toast is pulling me from Winella's panic, but I at least need to finish the paragraph. I had to read the last sentence 3 times because it's so loud in here. Not a problem for me, Derek grins, and now it's my turn to punch him in the arm. Brunch is delicious, of course, and I'm surprised how easy it is to sign while eating. I was worried that forks and things would get in the way, but it works out and you don't have to worry about chewing with your mouth open, so that's pretty cool. But I can't type stuff on my phone without getting maple syrup on it, so it's hard to get into the details of what we think about Roses and Thorns so far. A woman older than Mom but younger than Graham stops at her table while we're eating. She is wearing a black silk shirt and a necklace made of large red beads. Your son and his girlfriend look very happy together, she says to Aunt Alicia. Oh, says Aunt Alicia, pulling her head back in surprise and letting out an odd noise. Oh, no. The woman disappears before Aunt Alicia can stop shaking her head long enough to explain. Derek looks at me, but I'm too busy laughing to try to interpret what the woman said. It's a laughter that's part regular funny, part awkward funny, part Aunt Alicia looks funny right now, and double part embarrassment. I didn't even know where to start correcting her, Aunt Alicia says. What happened, Derek asks. I'm still laughing too hard to say anything, so Aunt Alicia wipes her hands on her napkin, pulls out her phone, and types to Derek, and soon he's laughing too. Aunt Alicia joins us, and we're all smacking the table and sputtering half sentences, things like, where did she, and she must have thought, and if anyone's staring at us, we're having too much fun to notice. Derek and I keep to our schedule and finish Roses and Thorns at 11 p.m. on Sunday night. By the end, Vidalia enters an age of peace and joy. The land is saved and Cecil the Basilisk is banished from the realm. Orther and Blinky end up bound by a magical spell that keeps them within 10 feet of each other for all eternity. Even Derek feels bad for Orther over that one. Winella goes through the toughest time of any character in the book, hands down, and by the end, she glows as orange as Cecil. But she's made the right choices for Vidalia, and Magdalene knows the truth behind her hue, and they are very happy together. 3 years after that. Emma and I are watching TV. She can't read closed captions yet, but we're watching a show in which adults run an obstacle course, including a mud river and a greased up slide, so it's not like it really matters what anyone's saying. The guy in bright yellow sneakers runs the length of the diving board, but misses the end and falls splat first into a pool of whipped cream. Emma's boisterous giggles make me laugh even harder than I already am, and then she sees me laughing and bursts into a new peal, even though the show has broken to commercials and all we're watching now are a series of families with perfect hair convincing us that only their product will get a countertop back to its whitest white. We calm down by the beginning of the next commercial, in which kids pull grape juice out of the fridge and spill half of it on the floor to disapproving frowns and declarations of the importance of the right paper towel. The big picture makes me thirsty, and I head to the kitchen to pour myself a glass of orange juice. Once there's something in my stomach, I realize how hungry I am. I shout in Emma's direction and sign, "Are you hungry?" Emma nods happily. Her cochlear implants work great for getting her attention, but she understands people better when they sign to her, and she's a lot clearer when she signs than when she talks. "Do you want a JP, PB, and J?" I love fingerspelling JP, PB, and J. JP, P, J, with its pinky swoop at the beginning and end. She nods again. Then, like a thought bubble pops in her mind, her head perks up, and she jumps out of her chair, running toward me. Wait. What? "I make mine," Emma signs with her round little kid hands. "But you're not allowed to use a knife." "Give me a spoon," she demands. I get 2 plates, 2 spoons, and a knife for me. Emma gets the peanut butter and jelly from the cabinet. "What's wrong with the way I make a PB&J? I mean, the sandwich is named for me after all." Emma just shakes her head and pulls out a loaf of bread. "No seeds, no nuts," she signs. At least I got that part right. I take out 2 slices of bread and lay them out side by side on my plate. Emma does the same. Then I spread a dollop of peanut butter on one half of the slices. So does Emma, who manages to do pretty well with her spoon. But when I spread jelly on the other half of the slice, Emma shakes her head again. Now what? Emma puts out her hand like a surgeon calling for a clamp. I place the handle of the spoon in her palm. She digs into the jelly and drops a spoonful onto the other slice of bread. She spreads it over half the slice. Then, with a clever grin, she folds each of the pieces of bread onto themselves. For a girl too young to use a knife, she sure is sharp. 2 sealed sandwiches, and nothing's mixing with anything, not even in the middle. They look like beautiful pillows of deliciousness on her plate. Mine looks crude in comparison. Turns out the way to improve a JP, PB&J sandwich is to make it a JP and EP, PB&J. To peanut butter, we sign. Then we tap our sandwiches together and each take a bite. To jelly. Jillian's first 100 signs. 1, eat. 2, sleep. 3, diaper. 4, baby. 5, sister. 6, mother. 7, father. 8, purple. 9, blue. 10, green. 11, yellow. 12, orange. 13, red. 14, laugh. 15, cry. 16, happy. 17, sad. 18, tired. 19, friend. 20, family. 21, me. 22, you. 23, please. 24, thank you. 25, boy. 26, girl. 27, book. 28, movie. 29, peanut butter. 30, jelly. 31, bread. 32, yes. 33, no. 34, turkey. 35, Thanksgiving. 36, cute. 37, boyfriend. 38, girlfriend. 39, doctor. 40, angry. 41, chocolate. 42, like. 43, love. 44, hate. 45, favorite. 46, pie. 47, fight. 48, aunt. 49, uncle. 50, make. 51, home. 52, hat. 53, safe. 54, black. 55, white. 56, deaf. 57, hearing. 58, week. 59, day. 60, hearing aid. 61, cochlear implant. 62, joke. 63, funny. 64, smile. 65, hug. 66, I love you. 67, kiss. 68, good. 69, bad. 70, Derek. 71, dance. 72, name. 73, Christmas. 74, Santa Claus. 75, presents. 76, pizza. 77, want. 78, have. 79, make. 80, trip. 81, come. 82, town. 83, text. 84, vacation. 85, TV. 86, duck. 87, toy. 88, play. 89, mistake. 90, sorry. 91, feel. 92, awful. 93, salad. 94, police. 95, scared. 96, kill. 97, water. 98, circle. 99, candle. 100, life. Macy and JD's glossary of initialisms. G-A-H-A-Y, good, and how are you? H, I. H-A-G-N, have a good night. H-E-B, happy Emma's birthday. H-T, how's things? I-T-Y-R-G, I think you're really great. I-T-Y-R-G-T, I think you're really great too. JBFF, Jillian's best friend forever. JBSE, Jillian's baby sister Emma. JD, Jillian's dad. JF, Jillian's friend. JM, Jillian's mom. MM, Macy's mom. NB, not bad. NBAY, not bad, NU. OIS, OIC. OISINDIA. Oops, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. SS, she's sleeping. TOTKO, takes one to know one. WE, where's Emma? YG, you're good. YGI, you got it. YT, you too. YVG, you're very good. YWA, yes we are. Author's note. Thank you for honoring me with your time, both to read Jilly's story and now to read a bit more about the context that underlies it. I believe that books and stories are tools for talking about contemporary issues and that young readers need and deserve these tools just as much as the rest of us. As Aunt Alicia said, nothing changes if we don't talk. I am white. I'm more Italian than anything else, but my ancestors come from throughout Western Europe. I was raised on Staten Island, New York, on the unceded land of the Lenapes, and currently live in Oakland, California, home of the Muwek-Ohlone people. I have a college degree, U.S. citizenship, and English is my first and primary language. It is impossible to see my privilege myself. The nature of privilege is that it feels normal. It is only in conversation with others, whether by reading and reflecting on their work or by talking with them directly, that I am able to see the differences between what we have and how we are treated. I wouldn't know about racism if not for the work and thoughtfulness of many Black and other people of color in my life and in the world. I want to name that you have just read yet another story that centers a white hearing main character. Readers of color and deaf readers, particularly Black deaf readers, I appreciate your patience as I bring this story aimed at white folks into the world. I hope that you will forgive me killing 2 Black youth on the page and injuring another for the edification of my white main character. I hope that my choices are worthy of forgiveness. In a world in which so many books are unconsciously written for white audiences, this book is consciously written for white people as a catalyst to talk about modern racism and police violence in the United States. I hope that Jilly's experiences will help young white readers learn a bit more about their privilege and how to support marginalized people in their lives. You may have noticed that Jilly makes mistakes in talking with and about the deaf and Black people in her life, like when she tries to explain away the people who were staring at Derek and his family as they ate and signed at a restaurant. Other people make mistakes too, like when Grandma asked Aunt Alicia to bring a sweet potato pie to dinner. These often unintentional mistakes are microaggressions, and while any one of them seem small, they pile up into deep wounds. Neither Jilly nor Grandma mean to say anything hurtful or racist, but microaggressions can be a lot to face, especially from someone you love and who you thought understood you. Speaking of small things, I should mention that Maya, the fake canary hanging in Aunt Alicia's car, is based on the poet and author Maya Angelou, and its reminder that we all have a song to sing comes from I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Jilly hasn't read that book yet, but I didn't want you to think I made that up myself. I am also hearing. It's polite for hearing people to clarify our connection to deaf culture, so let me tell you a bit about how I grew up. My father's parents were deaf, and my grandfather co-founded the Staten Island Deaf Club. I spent many weekend evenings surrounded by deaf and hard of hearing folks, just waiting to pinch my cheeks and exclaim how much I had grown, and always the music pumping heavy enough to shake the floor. Like so many American children whose grandparents spoke a language other than English, I only knew a few dozen signs as a kid and communicated with my grandparents without much language. It wasn't until I started taking American Sign Language classes in college that I began to sign conversationally, and still my skills are shaky. Today, even while ASL becomes more popular for hearing people, from baby sign to college language credits, deaf culture is at risk. Many hearing families seek cochlear implants as a cure rather than a tool, and audiologists like Ms. Slapp really do exist. Deaf schools are closing as many school systems aim to mainstream students, despite evidence that deaf students achieve more in their natural language. Luckily, people like Katrina Petrovsky exist too. California School for the Deaf is free to all deaf students in California and has campuses in Fremont and Riverside. While a handful of signs are mentioned in this book, none is meant to be a complete description. That is, please don't try to figure out how to make these signs from my words. Instead, visit an online sign language dictionary like lifeprint.com. And if you really want to learn to sign, it's much more valuable to take classes and interact with fluent signers than to study from a website. The grammar of ASL is very different from English, so if you try to translate sentences word for word, you might not make much sense. Note that the sign Jilly created for Emma improperly blends 2 ways signs can be formed and should not be used. And thanks to deaf reader Aisha Knight Shaw for gifting Derek with the name sign. You didn't think I was going to make up a name sign for him, did you? For a video of Derek's name sign and more information on deaf culture, visit alexgino.com. Thanks again for reading.